So this is aftermath of the German federal presidential election part 2. It was going to be done in my flat, but that was logistically problematic. Then I was going to do it on the back step, and that was problematic. And then I was going to do it on a nice little tree stump, but then traffic started to go past. Then I got up to the Teutoburger Wald, which is a high point, it's a park, and then lots of people decided to walk past. Now I'm down a side alley, and we just had a helicopter and a ambulance zipping past. So anyway, the German federal presidential election, part 2. This is looking at what the government, the CDU, CSU, FDP coalition, what the outcome is for them in this election. Now, the first thing to say is they got their candidate elected. The person they endorsed, they got in. So, that's the first thing. So they've succeeded in that. But did they fail in other ways? Were there problems? There's a problem in the coalition, and it's been shown through the whole time it's been in power, that it's been a coalition where some of the coalition members are, I think the word was used, semi-detached. I think that was used by somebody about to one of the ministers in the Mrs. Thatcher's government, but I can't remember. Anyway, semi-detached from the government, and this was exhibited in the Federal Assembly. Now, the Federal Assembly, if you remember, is made up of the Bundestag, all the members of the Bundestag, and an equal number of people from the nominated by the land in proportion to the parties. They don't have to be members of the land parliament, but they quite often are. Sometimes there's some celebrities selected and things, so it's all a bit. But anyway, this group meets. It does nothing but elect the federal president, and the now in the land altogether, the CDU, CSU, FDP have a majority at the moment. In the Bundestag, they have a majority overall, absolute majorities in both parts. So technically, they should have won the election on the first round. So they nominated somebody who is he's a CDU political operator, but he's not a terrible candidate. I mean, you can't go, oh, he's like the most right-wing or the most left-wing person within the grouping. He's a centrist, he's got things done. He has a career as a minister-president for Lower Saxony, Niedersachsen, and it's he's been, you're not going to say, oh, terrible candidate. But the problem is that the coalition at the federal level is certainly falling apart, or appears to be falling apart. The big problem for the CDU, CSU, FDP is that Angela Merkel is on the left side of the CDU, her party. And therefore, when there was the Grand Coalition, the previous government, which was a joint SPD, CDU, CSU government, she was one of the best people to be in it, because to be Chancellor of a coalition, you have to keep all the sides happy. And she was on the left side of her party, so she was closer to some of her people in the SPD than some of the people in her own party, because they're grand coalitions, these parties, in a very sort of UK style, that there are people who are more left-wing in the Republican Party than some of the Democrats. So it's sort of overlap. There's a great deal of overlap in these things. So anyway, she was successful in the Grand Coalition because she could keep the two sides together, and she was in the middle. She's very much somebody who likes to build consensus, likes to build things. Anyway, she's on the left wing of her party now, so the coalition, which is with the FDP, which is really the we think we should cut taxes party. I think that's what it should be called. They have basically one policy, and it's cutting taxes. They're more right-wing than most of her party, so she's on the very left of the whole coalition. So she's trying to build consensus in that group is quite hard for her. And obviously, some of the people on the have detached themselves, and are. There's sort of minor, mini rebellions. It's very it reminds me a great deal of Mrs. Thatcher in the when she had some of these people, or perhaps actually John Major more, when John Major had the Maastricht rebels and things. It's not quite as bad as that, but it's got that feeling of a government which has technically got all the power, but isn't able to operate it because people are being difficult within their own ranks. Doesn't bode well for electoral prospects in future elections, but anyway. So that's the first thing. So she's got problems anyway, and then it should have been a shoo-in. He should have been elected on the first round. That's Christian Wolff, who eventually was elected. He should have got in easily, because it's not. If you've got an absolute majority of people, you are of course going to get them elected. Only the discipline fell apart, and it's a secret ballot, so we'll never know who didn't vote for Christian Wolff, but twice they didn't do it. The third time round, the Die Linke, either some of the people who voted for Die Linke voted for Christian Wolff, or the people who were dissenters from Christian Wolff in the first two moved to him, because he got an overall majority. He increased his vote on the third vote, which is interesting. To look as if it could possibly be that you were elected because Die Linke let you, doesn't look good for a right-wing politician, especially one where they all say, "Ooh, don't have anything. The SPD can't have anything to do with the Die Linke. They're just really communists in disguise." So there's a whole set of rhetoric that's constantly being used. Oh, you can't go into coalition with the between the SPD and the Die Linke to form a government, because that shows that you're really just closet communists, etc., etc., and therefore we've got a problem. I had to stop the recording then, because we had somebody going past with a very loud voice explaining something to somebody. I couldn't quite tell what it was about, but it probably something very thorough and Germanic. Anyway, so basically Angela Merkel had this problem of she hasn't got she looks embarrassed. I'll try and find the picture of the cartoon and put a link to it in the bar beneath, because it's a cartoon from a newspaper that we get, and it is sums it up. She got him elected, but still she fell through the floor. She was negatively impacted. He's there, he's out of the picture, but Angela Merkel suffered as a result. Anyway, that's my thoughts on the German federal election. I'm going to do another video sometime soon on the North Rhine-Westphalian election that happened on the 9th of May, might seem a long time ago, but the government's only just being formed. So that tells you a little bit about how German politics works, quite slowly in some cases.